True wireless stereo earbuds for under 40 bucks? Let's check these out. Dave Taylor here, and I'm checking out these in this little case. These are the Northside NS Series 10 TWS in-ear headphones. Why they don't call them earbuds, I don't know. I don't think of these as headphones, but they actually are pretty decent, and particularly for the price, they're really quite good. So, it is a very basic design, and you put it in your ear. It fits in pretty easily. And as you can see in this close-up, it has a nice fit once you get it oriented correctly, but I will also note that they mislabeled the earbuds as far as I can tell, because I have this in my right ear, but if I pull it out and look, it says L on it. So I'm not sure what that's about, or if I just have a strangely misshapen head. Do not leave any comments about that. But I found that by switching the ears, it was much more comfortable, and the surface that you actually use for the different touch elements actually is much more parallel with my head. If I put this into my left ear, then it's at a weird angle. So you might get slightly better sound, but it doesn't feel like it's designed that way. Be that as it may, they actually sound pretty decent. So let me go down the list of specifics. They are Bluetooth 5.0. They feature CVC 8.0 noise canceling for calls. So let me be clear, these are not ANC, there's no active noise cancellation. If you put the right size ear tips on, you will get better sound, but it is not acoustic isolating. So if you listen to it in a noisy environment, you still get the noise. It's the way it is. But if you're making a phone call, it will help cut down the background noise, which is what the purpose of it is. They're auto pairing, so when I take them out, then automatically it's ready to roll, though there's an interesting caveat with that. So let's actually orient this correctly so that this is the left ear, right? That's what they call it. But I actually would put that in my right ear to have it work better for me. This one can work independently, so I can have the other one in here charging. But if I want to do the opposite and I want to listen to the right ear in my left ear independently, then strangely enough, I have to take the other one out of the case also, because it is basically a left ear unit dominant design. And so that's kind of a strange limitation, but I would imagine that the vast majority of people that use this are going to do both earbuds or nothing. So maybe not a huge crisis, but definitely something to know. They feature 6 hours of playback on the earbuds once they're fully charged, depending on volume. And we'll come back to that too. You get 3 more charges in this nice case, and it's sort of a metallic feel to it. It's a really nice feeling case. And it has 3 little tiny lights on the back, which took me, I had to actually read the manual to figure out. So the left light, right? So looking at it this way, the left light is for the right earbud. The right light is for the left earbud, which makes sense if you think about looking down at it this way, right? So there's my right earbud, so there's the right one, even though it's actually technically on the left side, though with the video, it's mirroring to the right side. So, oh my gosh, super crazy. Basically, you can ignore them. The only one that really matters is the middle one, and the middle LED will tell you the charge status of the base itself of the case. So this gives you 3 full charges. If you put the earbuds in for 10 minutes, you will get another hour of listening, which is not a great fast charge. A lot of companies have them where it's like 5 minutes gives you 2 hours. But, 10 minutes while you are, I don't know, talking to a friend or you're having lunch or something, and then you're good for another hour. So that's nice. The earbuds themselves are IPX7 waterproof, which means you can wear them in a rainstorm and you can have them drop into your glass of water and it's not going to be a problem. If it drops into a bowl of honey, it still won't be a problem, but they're going to be sticky for the rest of time. So not recommended as a test. So, as I said, I wanted to talk about the volume and the battery life. And the thing is that as with all of these devices, the louder you listen, the shorter the battery life. And I found pairing them with my Apple iPhone 11 Pro that I had to crank it up pretty high to have decent listening volume, which ends up being a bit problematic because that means I'm shortening the battery life. So that's a trade-off there. So depending on your device, if you can get away with having it at like 50% volume, you will get longer battery life out of the earbuds with any device. So these are, if they were wired, I'd say a different impedance, but they just don't have a lot of volume, so you might find yourself compensating by turning it up pretty high. I had it up to maybe 80 or 85% when I was in a noisy environment, which again means that I'm pushing my phone a little harder, and I'm definitely pushing these a little harder. So there's that. What else can I tell you? Well, as with any of these devices, you definitely want to get the right size ear tips. And the good news is that their package comes with a user's guide, and it comes with a little accessory box that includes both the micro USB charging cable, and I'm going to take points off from micro USB. That's the back. You saw that when I showed you the LEDs, that little micro USB charger. I don't like micro USB, and it's time for companies to get beyond it because it's a dumb design. When I have to figure out which orientation to use, that's just not great. It would be much better to do USB-C, even if that adds another couple of dollars to the product. But it does come with a micro USB charging cable, and in this tiny little Ziploc, it does give you 1, 2, 3 other sizes of ear tips for a total of 4, and you really want to experiment. I can tell you that with these, the default ear tips were not the right size for my ears, and I was like, well, there's no mid-range and no bass. That's not very impressive. And then I put on the other size, and suddenly it was like, oh, that works better, because the better the seal, the more, sort of the higher quality the reproduction is. So really important to spend a few minutes with any of these sort of earbuds or ear tips or in-ear headphones, whatever you want to call them. You want to spend a few minutes to make sure you're using the right size ear tips, which brings us to arguably the most important question, which is audio quality. But 2 more points before we get there. First one is latency-wise. If you're using these and you're watching a video on your phone or tablet, I found that it was perfectly in sync, which is really nice. But for phone quality, I found that it was pretty much what you would expect. So if I put this in my ear, and there it is, so it's in my ear, and now if I'm talking, my voice is projecting like this, so it's going to have a lot of work for that to pick it up clearly, and you hear that. So the person on the other end was like, you're kind of distant, can you talk a little louder, can you just like turn it up a little bit? So if that's not something that you have an issue with, then you're fine, and that works just, perfectly dandy. I will also note, before we get to sound quality, one more thing is that, as I said, the outside has a button, and the button, you can hear and feel it click, right? So you do get that nice feedback, so you know you've pushed it, which leads to the question of, well, what can you do when you push it? And here's their little guide. So single tap, double tap, left ear, right ear, they give you different functionality. Since I have switched my ears to get a better fit, that means I have to actually now switch the control information here. So it's all a little complicated, but the upside is they actually sound pretty darn good. Not great. There's not a real richness to the sound. I didn't find there was a lot of bass, and I did find that I was monkeying with the EQ on my phone to actually get a little more loudness and a little more low end out of it. But again, they're under $40, and they are entirely functional. They are going to work fine for games, for music, for phone calls, for audiobooks. If you want a full, rich experience, well, in-ear headphones, earbuds, those are a hard sort of characteristic or a hard device to give you a full, rich reproduction of sound. Some of them do, but they're hundreds of dollars. So, I would say get a nice pair of headphones if you want to have that really laying on the couch with your eyes closed, really enjoying the full richness of your music. And then something like this can work really well at the gym, on the road. You can use these while you're on a walk around the neighborhood in a COVID-friendly and appropriate way. But there's not a lot of depth or richness to the music. There's not a lot of bass. It's very high-end heavy. and it's not too bright, but you know, when you turn it up pretty high, you're still going to notice that there's just not as much bass as you might like. You might be able to have that work just fine for you. You might be able to fiddle with the EQ on your source device, your phone, your tablet, your computer, whatever, and that might be just great. But these probably are going to work best for things like, honestly, audiobooks and podcasts. These would be fantastic for those because the voice, you know, that level of frequencies just sounds really good and really clean. Otherwise, you sort of get what you pay for. These are good budget earbuds. They could be perfect for grandma. They might be great for your teenager who keeps losing things because they are not super expensive. So that means the only thing left to talk about is the price. But before we get to the price, I'm going to ask if you can subscribe to my channel. Really appreciate when you do that. It's just a tap or a click away. Great, thanks. Now, these are the Northside NS Series 10 TWS, or True Wireless Stereo in-ear headphones, and they're $39.99 at Amazon.com, and they're not bad for $40. I will just say that in this price range, these are a pretty solid option for you. Know the limitations, know some of the design mistakes that they might have made, including micro USB, including possibly needing to switch the ears to get more comfort. But all in all, with 6 hours of battery life, 3 full charges on this pretty cool metallic feeling case, they might be a really good option for you to check out. So that's all I got. I'll hope to see you in my next video.